I'm still not used to those options. Hi, people watching in the future. Um, Welcome to week 17. Haha, I remembered. Well, call 17. I don't know what week it is, but this will be fun. Today we were talking about unasking, if you were, if you will. So, like asking for stuff that the universe doesn't deliver until like a decade later, or asking for stuff and then changing your mind and the universe is still trying to give it to you. At one point I wanted 12 children. The first thing I wanted to be when I grew up was a mom. And at some point I was like 12. A great number. My grandma had 13. Come from a big family. But I was the last one at home, so I kind of felt like an only child. I kind of was an only child. And so I wanted this big family experience again. So I wanted 12 kiddos. 8 years after I decided that I'm good with three, the universe is still trying to give me more kiddos. My honey is the first guy that hasn't been like, let's put a baby in you. And I've been like, no, no, thank you. And even he is like, well, a baby wouldn't be horrible. I'm like, listen, dude. I love you, but no. So, um, yeah. Do you
Three's the
have
perfect
any?
number to juggle, you know. When you see jugglers, that's what they've got. They've got three balls, you got three kids. Keep it simple.
Yeah, and I'm like way outnumbered, way outnumbered.
Outnumbered and at this point, can you imagine going back to changing diapers and getting barfed on every day? Oh,
I just don't want to. Like babies, so I was made to make people. Like that southern thing of, ooh, you got childbearing hips. That's legit over here. And my body loves being pregnant. I get this clarity when I'm pregnant. It's just like a thing. And then there's the nursing thing, which I've been depressed every time I've done infants. So it's all appealing, except that my baby is 10. I value freedom.
mhm.
And in 8 years, little over 7 years, not
Everybody's
even
kind
8 whole years, I will have adult children. In my mind, starting over is insanity. I'm 36. I'm about to be 37. And then they remind me that my grandma was 42 and my mom was born.
I was going to say, I have a lot of friends. I have one friend who she didn't even start till she was 40. So there are definitely more and more women who are having children later. However, most of those people also didn't do, like in the personal training world, we call it a split shift. You work in the morning hours, you work in the evening hours. It's kind of that same thing where you've now got adult children. Now you're birthing out new babies because you started early and now you're deciding it later in life to have another one. So it's not that it's biologically impossible, but like you said, at this point, it's a place of choosing, because physically, could you? Yeah. Yeah. You're well under 40. Now, I'm going to knock on a little wood here. My age, well, to me, it's well under 40. Knocking on wood, technically, I could still get pregnant. Rub my lucky rabbit's foot, pray, I don't care, make sacrifices to whoever needs sacrifices to not get pregnant. Um, write my congressman, I don't know, but because I don't want kids. But even at 50, it's possible. It's not as likely. Thank the sweet baby Jesus. But it's still possible at this stage in the game for you. It's more about choice. And yeah, if what you value is freedom, adding another mouth to feed and 2 years of diaper changing is probably not, and 18 years of upbringing isn't really creating freedom necessarily. At least not my vision of it. Everybody's different, but yeah. So,
No, we
so
talked
yeah,
about it. Like we had an actual conversation. We've had actual conversations about it over the last 2 years. And my last answer included we could get a nanny, but I'm not interested.
yeah. See, and there's that too. Um, so then it becomes, with the conversation for today, the how do you unask a previously asked ask? Say that 12 times fast. Um, you've got the metaphysical, this is what I had put out there that I wanted. You also have the full-on biological piece. You are capable physically, from a physiology standpoint, of birthing out babies. Your body is still, producing eggs and shooting them out every month, and it could happen, kind of thing. So there's that aspect that comes into play. That doesn't necessarily, that's something to be aware of and pay attention to. But metaphysical side, how do you unask that ask?
So I haven't unasked the ask. I just keep saying no to the manifestations when they show up. It's like, hey, this guy wants to have a baby with you. You're not my guy.
So that is one way to do it. For some people, like, one of the things, when we decided to talk about this topic, one of the things that came up for you is, what do you do when it shows up, 2 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever, later? Some people will have forgotten they even asked, and all of a sudden it will hit them up alongside the head, and they don't have the situation like what you're talking about, where a guy says, I want to have a baby, not interested, you're not my guy. When I was doing the online dating 150 years ago, I'm much younger than I look, older than I look, obviously, if it was 150 years ago. If people's profiles said that they had kids, or they reached out and they had kids, I wouldn't date them. There was one guy I did, because he wasn't very technology savvy, and he had changed some stuff on his profile and screwed some stuff up and unclicked the wrong boxes and didn't list that he had kids, but he had a bunch of pictures of him with kids. I'm like, yeah, those nieces and nephews, or what's the deal? No, those are my kids. Oh, yeah, no. Because I knew I didn't want kids. So that's a really obvious, if it shows up, hey, I want a baby, and Lila's all, you're not my guy because I don't want a kid. But what about those things that we ask for that we forget, and they show up, and they show up in such a way that we don't have that moment of conscious yes or no decisioning? You want a baby? You're not my guy. And it just, whatever it is, it just shows up. And you're like,
So,
but wait, backtrack. I want to cancel this order. Can I return to sender?
can you return to sender? That's a really good question. So, um, for me, I think what happens, or how I get to seeing like, oh, I asked for this is, or I ordered this, is it when things upset me, looking at like, am I actually upset? Has this person actually done something disrespectful, crossed a boundary, blah, 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 or am I being triggered? Because if
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm being triggered, then chances are I need to look at that.
Yeah, because what about this
And
about me is a great question.
uh-huh. And then when I look at it, I go, oh,
Damn it.
shit. I wanted this, but now I don't want it no more.
Right?
Hmm. And then I don't know, like right now in my experience with looking at like, oh, I wanted this and now I have this, but I don't like it. Like when you get the pants that don't fit from Fabletics. I'm sorry, Fabletics. I didn't mean for that to come out of my mouth, but it did. I just sent them back. I didn't request a new pair or anything. I am a go in the store and try it on kind of girl. Um, but when you get the thing and it doesn't work, even if you don't realize that you asked for the thing ago, when it doesn't work, you have choices. We all have choices. We get to choose how we respond to the thing that doesn't work, unless it doesn't feel like there's a choice in the response. And if it doesn't feel like there's a choice in the response, you're probably being triggered. And then you get to do some healing.
Right. There's a whole different reason why that order went through. You know, yeah, I
Yeah.
know you send this one back, but you really want to keep this one. Trust us. Well, and I think too that the choice piece, and I guess this is where sort of when I look back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I didn't know what I wanted. I thought I did at times. And the times that I did know what I wanted, when I think back, I'm sure there were things that I put out there that I asked for more unconsciously than it wasn't a conscious practice. Um, but I'm sure that there were things that I put out there that I really wanted to come to fruition. And if they were to show up now, they'd either be, why the heck did that show up? Or it would just be neutral and it wouldn't even cross my radar that it was showing up. But I think this is where being in a conscious practice of asking, a conscious practice of manifesting is important. So we can go back and refine. Um, I'm going to use the whole dropping weight thing because it's one I think a lot of people can relate to. So if somebody's like, I just want to be healthier. I want to be healthier. That's what they put out there. But in reality, what they really want is to get 20 pounds off their body so their knees stop hurting and nothing's coming, they can refine it. Or if they say, oh, I really want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. And then they end up with some horrible illness and they drop, 45 pounds when they really only had 20 to lose. Probably not quite what they meant either.
Yeah.
So it's about being really conscious as we're creating what it is we say we want, revisiting it from time to time. I'm going to be doing a new vision board, and we talked about, are the things on there, do they still speak to you? Many of them do. Some of them have come to pass. Many of them still speak to me. So it's not that I'll just be done with it because there was a reason I put those things on that board. There's a reason they showed up. And the ones where it's like, okay, that's a little modified. It's time to update it. I think that's a really good thing for us to look at and do. So to me, I see it as the conscious creation part and the revisiting what it is we're asking for.
I think that's really awesome. And you said something really potent about like reframing. So, I really want to lose weight. Oh, wait, I didn't want to lose that much weight.
Yeah.
So I really I want 12 children. Okay, what I really want is a happy, healthy, connected family, which, I've had actually my entire life. They just weren't all DNA relatives.
Aha.
Yeah.
That's a huge distinction. I think that the getting to know and understand who you are and what's underneath it. this goes back, I keep going back to this conversation because for me it was so profound in that moment. So thank you for that. Is the call that we did when I was struggling with going home for my brother-in-law's funeral. And I was really hooked on where the money came from or the plane ticket came from. And you're like, if at the core of it, all that matters is getting home, who cares? And it's the same kind of thing. If what you want is connected family, do they have to share your DNA?
No, but it's really funny that I'm only realizing in this conversation that that's what I was doing, because I've always intentionally said that family are the people that are there for you, not necessarily the people that you share DNA with.
In that case, you're my family and we don't look anything alike.
Well, you're not my first white sister.
No, I probably won't be the last one either.
Edie's got blue hair. It's great.
She got blue hair, but yeah. So I think that's the revisiting, reframing. Can you send it back if it shows up?
Sometimes you can. I've certainly sent people back.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a husband. I wanted a husband. I wanted a husband. I wanted a husband. I had to have a husband. 10 days after my first husband left, I went on a date with this dreamy guy. And 4 months later, I found out he was married to somebody else.
You got a husband?
Husband.
Somebody else's husband. Oh shit. That's where the clarity piece with what we ask for. It's like I want a red Cadillac convertible with a white interior sitting in my garage. She was very clear about that until that red Cadillac with a white interior came through the roof of her garage as it sailed off the road from the cliff above her, landed in her garage. So there was one sitting in her garage.
Well,
you know, it's interesting because as we're talking about these things, I realize I would love to win the lottery, wipe out my debt, pay off my mom's mortgage, you know, do all these things, give back. There's charities I'd love to give to, blah, 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 blah. And I find that I hesitate asking for a big lump sum of money because my concern, I realize that as we're talking all this out, is in the background there, just like with the, I want to lose weight. And now suddenly you've lost 45 pounds, 90 pounds, whatever, because you got sick. There's this, if I get a lump sum of money, it probably means somebody died. So there's a little piece that I get to unravel a bit.
Aren't people dying anyway?
Yeah, but chances are, if it's a big lump sum of money, that means it's somebody I know.
I'm like, not
Hey,
them. I mean, and you know, I'm sure that Bear can kind of resonate with this. Not that I like want people to go to transition, but they don't really go nowhere. My poet just hangs out over here. My mom and I get along so well now that she's not in her body anymore.
Well,
I didn't cry for 6 solid weeks when he died, y'all. But it's still like, it's okay.
Yeah, there is that aspect. And I know too that there's still a grieving process. And I know for me, if I felt like I had willed their death by asking for this, there'd just be more shit for you and me to clear. That's all. So at least I got the tools. But yeah.
Let's avoid that one.
Yeah, so that's just an interesting thing that's shown up through this conversation since we started. So but sending things back, lobbing things back. Your approach to gratitude comes to mind as well. Because if something shows up that I asked for 10 years ago, that most of the things that would show up that I may have asked for 10 years ago would probably be pretty neutral, or I wouldn't even recognize them as I asked for these things, is my guess. There may be some things I asked for that I wasn't really conscious of that might show up that I might not feel that way about. And if if it shows up, red Cadillac convertible that crashes through my garage roof, for instance,
What a
sitting in my
powerful
garage,
creator.
or I want a husband, I want a husband, I want a husband, come to find out, yeah, I got one. It's just he's somebody else's. Oh, that had to suck. It's I get the sense that it's part of the sending it back is really the extreme gratitude that you practice. How do you find gratitude in those things that bring you to your knees, or those things that look like a pile of crap? So you just know there has to be a pony buried in there somewhere.
There's a pony in the poo. Extreme gratitude, for those of you who are not familiar, is the process of expressing gratitude for the shitty things in life. You don't have to feel grateful. I wasn't grateful. I didn't feel gratitude that I had $700 in the bank, sketchy freelance income, no childcare, no car, and was going to need a place to live in 6 weeks. But the universe delivered me a solution in 3. And my gratitude list sounded like, I give thanks that I can't stop crying, because I cried that whole 3 weeks, just like nonstop. I wasn't sad. My face just leaked constantly. I was grieving a lot of things. My mom had died the year before. It was somewhere around the 1-year anniversary of her death at that point. I was very used to being independent, and that was not my feeling reality anymore. And my body just needed to purge all of those things. And I was healing on a level that I didn't realize depression. I was healing depression. So there was a lot of crying happening. So I gave thanks that I was crying. I gave thanks that I had no idea where we were going to live. I gave thanks that I felt like a failure as a mom, kind of a failure as a person. And within 3 weeks, we had a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
We had a safe, secure place that we could live rent-free for at least a year. I moved back in with my ex-husband. I was not happy when that miracle showed up. The universe said, oh, here's a place to live. And I went, ew. No.
Specific as I should have been, huh?
And then God was like, look, I sent you a boat. Are you getting your ass in or not? And I was like,
damn it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that was the start of me getting on my feet. But that was also the start of a gratitude practice that went for almost 3.5 years. And it was super potent. Like, so much changed for me in that time.
Well, I know, and that makes a lot of sense. I think that these are practices that are very closely linked. We've talked about the forgiveness aspect of things as well, but that gratitude and the extreme gratitude, Bear always talks about it from this standpoint of when you can find gratitude for those things that have brought you to your knees, that's when the healing begins.
Absolutely.
And your extreme gratitude practice to me echoes that same thing in a slightly different way, but it's really the same thing. And for me, initially, that sounded like the biggest cockamamie pile of bullshit I'd ever heard. You want me to find gratitude in the fact I was raped? Fuck you. Right?
Ooh. Okay.
And but what I learned along the way, because I was thinking about it very black and white, and one of the elders that I worked with said it doesn't change, finding that gratitude doesn't change the experience. It doesn't take the shit out of what happened. It doesn't make that an okay thing, whatever it is, whether it's losing your house, crashing your car, being raped, losing a job, having a loved one die, whatever it is. Our friends bought a new house, hadn't even moved in, and there was a fire. Thank God the insurance at least was in place. But how devastating. They had to go back and, talk to their landlord, not end up moving out of their apartment when they thought, because now here's all this work that has to be done on their brand new house that they bought. At first that seemed like shit. And the fact that it did, that didn't change. It was still crappy that happened and the stress that went with that. Now, through the renovations, they ended up loving what they ended up with even more, because they did change something out walls that they were like, well, I don't love that, but it's okay. I really, I like the house. Now they loved the house. So
Yeah.
being able to find the gratitude in what happens that wouldn't have happened had that instance not occurred. So for me, through that practice of healing, part of what I have learned is very clear boundaries. Practicing it wasn't very fun. It had its ups and downs and really sucked at times. And I've also learned more how to trust myself and my instincts, which I maybe wouldn't have. And this seems to be an ongoing learning, but the learning the value of myself would not have happened in the same way, and possibly in a lesser way, had I not gone through that. So it's not about, oh, yay, I'm so happy I was raped. No, because that's bullshit. About the experience, it's about finding gratitude for the things you find out about yourself, the things that transpired that would not have taken place had a fire not happened in this brand new house, whatever it is. And for me, that was a hard thing to wrap my head around at first. But it doesn't okayify, because that's a word, the experience or the thing, but it's about really tapping into gratitude. And I love that you bring up the depression, because I find, having struggled with hormone-fueled depression over the past few years, when I'm feeling that, I have a harder time accessing and reminding myself that gratitude is an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And sit in it, the gratitude side, I do feel better. It's just hard to access sometimes, or feels harder. It's not harder, it feels harder.
So that is where like extreme gratitude is really potent, because we're not asking for a feeling. This comes from Melody Beattie's book, Make Miracles in 40 Days. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to feel. It's an alchemy process, really.
Yeah.
It's, this shitty thing is happening to me, and slapping some gratitude on it, which is what happens when you say, I give thanks for. I am giving gratitude for, so that I can have peace, really. That's what it boils down to. Like, when my poet died, there were pages and pages and pages of, I give thanks that I'm never going to hear his voice again, outside of the voicemails that I saved. I give thanks that I'm not going to get another good morning text message from him. I'm not going to hear his laugh ever again. Like, that, it went on for weeks. I sobbed for weeks, but it made that process easier because it wasn't stuck in my body. It wasn't stuck in my system. I got it out. And it's really powerful of a practice. If you're going to do it with an accountability partner, just make sure that it's somebody that's not going to judge. So maybe do it with a stranger. Because they're not allowed to judge, they're not allowed to give feedback, they're not allowed to help. They're
just a receptacle for you to be able to to
There's
speak
this
it.
witness. That
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
yeah. And I had an accountability partner for like 3.5 years of that practice. It was all the things.
I think that that's a good answer to the how do you send something back when it shows up. Because if something, again, if something shows up that I asked for 10 years ago, that it doesn't even really cross my radar that I asked for this 10 years ago. Now, it would be great if it did, so I can be like, oh my God, what a powerful manifester I am. Woohoo! Look what finally showed up. This is so awesome. I was resilient and tenacious in bringing this forward. But sometimes they're just things that, because it was so long ago, it just doesn't even register. But for those things that register and you're like, where did this come from? Oh my God, I asked for that when I was an idiot and didn't know any better, you know. Or like I used to ask for, I have changed it. So I have canceled, cleared, and deleted it all throughout my crew. They know. Because I used to say, just push me in front of a bus when I turn 60. I had zero desire to grow old. Now I'm
Oh,
seeing all these videos of this, 100-year-old woman doing yoga and teaching yoga. And I'm like, damn, I want to be like that. Far cry from push me in front of a bus when I turn 60. Now that 60 is not all that far away, it's like, we need to rethink that. Because I certainly don't really want that one to cross my path at 60.
yeah.
But so, I've canceled, cleared, deleted it. But when these things do show up that we said at one time, or that we were adamant about at one time, that maybe we weren't as smart when we made it, or as awake, or as in tune, or whatever word you want to use, and it goes up. I think that extreme gratitude practice, I'm really grateful that the bus hit me and broke my leg.
No.
No. Will I be happy about that? No. But practicing that gratitude, in that I can see where that starts to clear it out and starts to slowly but surely clear out the gunk side of it, so that you can see clear to the true gratitude that may be underneath it.
I concur. So I'm gonna share this last thought and then we're gonna wrap because we have other places to be this morning. The clear, cancel, delete, super powerful, super potent. If you're not aware of how to do that yourself, get with one of us. We got you. What I realized is that the things that we realized that we ordered, like, oh, I used to want to be pushed in front of a bus when I'm 60, but nah, I don't want that anymore. You can delete that. You can dig up the roots of that and plant new seeds. And I want to be the lady doing yoga at 60, teaching yoga classes, looking fucking phenomenal, having people think I'm still in my 60s. Or 40s, because there are some women out there. Anyway, this came out of, I don't like this person, I don't like this person, I don't like this person. Oh shit, I wanted this person around. Like, it was like, duh, you ordered this. So now what do I do with that? That is what you slather in extreme gratitude. And use some Edwin Gaines prayers on and throw some forgiveness their way.
And celebrate what a mother effing awesome manifester you are too.
I'm really rather badass.
Yes.
Because I'm over here like, what did I order?
I did that. Ooh, I did that. Look at me, I did that.
I did that. Now let's undo that shit. I'm over it.
And what I love about that particular illustration is it's not just about applying one tool.
Yeah.
It's about the gratitude process. It's about the forgiveness process. It's about the celebrating who you are as a badass mother effing manifester. I know, right? I see your little.
I might never doubt myself again.
Girl. So sometimes, for those of you watching, if you're in the thick of something where you're like, why did this show up? And all of a sudden you realize, shit, I called this in, because don't we call it all in, really? Um, it, it may require an extreme gratitude practice. It may require a forgiveness prayer for someone or something that you don't really feel like forgiving, which may or may not include yourself. I don't know. Um, and it may require a celebration practice of recognizing the power you have. And if it's something you didn't really want to call in, recognizing that if I have the power to call in this, ooh, what else do I have the power to call in? And start getting all creative in your calling. So
I love that. That's the perfect place to end. Um, Tell us some things that you have gotten that you forgot you ordered, maybe.
right.
I would love to know. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.